So as we are sitting in a comfortable meditation posture, make sure your back is erect, side cast down. Hopefully you will remember how you kept your cameras this time, so that next time you don't need to spend with it a single minute. And we can make the first determination in our minds voicelessly. From now on, for 10 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. From now on, for 10 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. From now on, for 10 minutes, I will meditate on muscles and radiate loving kindness without any movement. And with that determination, we can gently, lovingly notice the flat piece of flesh at the top of the head. Let's allow it to be heavy and changing. And remember that heaviness here represents the element of earth. In Buddhism, we believe that all matter is made up of 4 elements. Earth, that's heaviness and hardness. Water, which is the fluidity. Then fire, which is temperature. And air, movement. Earth, water, fire, air are just metaphors for the material qualities. And all matter is made up of some level of these 4. Sometimes negative, sometimes positive. Some things move, some things don't move. Some things are hard, some things are soft. So the 4 elements are actually measurements. They are measures. And we are observing now the measure of solidity and heaviness in the flat piece of flesh at the top of the head. And we also observe the change, nature of impermanence. So let's continue to the forehead and consider the element of earth, heaviness, and the nature of change, impermanence, in the muscle of the forehead. So in this manner, let's continue accepting heaviness and change in muscles and flesh in the other parts of the body. Eyes, nose, lips, chin, cheeks, ears, back of the head, and we allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the head to be heavy and changing. We continue to the neck, shoulders, arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, palms, fingers, tips of fingers, chest, abdomen, back, and we allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the upper part of the body to be heavy and changing. We continue to the buttocks, thighs, knees, calves, heels, soles, toes, tips of toes, and we allow all of the muscles and flesh throughout the body to be heavy. And we enjoy that heaviness and change. As we give freedom to the body, we achieve freedom from worry about the body. So let's enjoy that freedom. Let's enjoy the peace we gain with freedom. Now let's share that freedom, let's share that peace with all other beings. We will not force them or expect them to have it. Instead, we will allow them to have it. If they want, if they can, may this be possible. So in our minds, voicelessly, we can recite a sentence and repeat that sentence again and again. May all beings, including me, be in peace. May all beings, including me, be in peace. Now, because the time for this sitting is finished, let's make the last determination in our minds voicelessly. From now on, I will always be mindful and shine with loving kindness. From now on, I will always be mindful and shine with loving kindness. From now on, I will always be mindful and shine with loving kindness. And with that determination, we can slowly, mindfully change the way of our sitting. Okay. Okay, seems like we have some new students today. So I would like to ask our new students to introduce yourself. I don't know how to read your name. So, Florence, can you tell us how should we pronounce your name properly, and where are you now, and how old are you?
My name is Florence. I'm in Singapore. I am 12 years old, turning 13.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Can you tell us how to pronounce your that looks like Chinese name? Is that right?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I'm asking Florence.
Wang Xinjiao.
Wang Xinjiao. Okay, but we will call you Florence. Are you fine with that? Yes. And the other lady is she your sister? Yes. I don't want to pronounce her name wrong, so that's why I'm talking about about her with you. Can you tell me does she have an English name that I can use to call her?
Her name is Paris.
Paris, like the capital town in France? Yes.
Yes.
So, Paris, can you please add your name Paris in brackets if you're comfortable with us calling you by that name? Nice, thank you very much. So, Paris, can you please tell us where do you live? How old are you? And I also want to know whether you study. What do you study? Do you go to school? And do you already go to high school or university? Tell us something about yourself.
I live in Singapore. I'm 14 years old. And in second grade.
You're following the secondary level. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Florence, can you tell us? Do you go to school? Which level of school do you follow?
I go to school at secondary one.
Secondary one. Can you tell us more about the school system in Singapore? Like in the Czech Republic, we have either you follow 9 grades. You start with the first grade maybe when you're like 5, 6 years old. Some people start when they are 7. You have to go through 9 grades, and then when you finish your 9th grade, then you either go to work or you follow we call it high school. And high school in the Czech Republic is another 4 years where you study a special subject. For example, you study engineering, or you study to be a chef, or you study accounting, and so on. And then you finish with the school leaving examination. That will be some. You have special. How do you call it? SAT or something you call it in the US. Then with that exam, after those 4 years, you can go to study college, where you study another 3 years to get bachelor's, and another 2 years to get master's, and another 1 to 5 years to get PhD if you want. So this is the basic system. And there is a special system where you can follow 5 years at the primary school, and then instead of 9 years. And then you go to a very special school for the most intelligent people. And there you do not study 4 years, to finish your 9 years. You study there 8 years. So you get there the remaining 4, plus those 4 that you would be otherwise choosing for your major. Then you finish with your leaving school examination, and you can start a university. The advantage of doing 5 plus 8 instead of 9 plus 4 is that doing 5 plus 8 gets you ready for university, not for job. 9 plus 4 gets you ready for job, not for university. But you can also go to university if you want. So for example, I followed the 5 plus 8 system. So then when you finish 5 plus 8, you're not supposed to do a job. You're supposed to go to a university. So, Florence, can you tell us what's the system in Singapore? Or would you like to pass it to Paris to tell us? So Paris, tell us how's the system of education? So do you have like primary level, secondary level? In the Czech Republic, 1st to 5th grade is primary level, 6th to 9th grade is the secondary level, and then the remaining 4 years we call it the high school. And then you go to university. How's it in Singapore?
There's primary 1 to primary 6. And secondary 1 to secondary 6.
So you study 12 years at school? 6 and 6 years?
I think so.
You don't know? Do you have grades? Do you like start at school at the 1st grade, and then after 1 year you move to the 2nd grade, and after 1 year the 3rd grade and 4th grade? Do you have it like that?
Yes.
Yes. How many grades can you do, or do you need to do before you can start university?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Good to know that. It's good to know that. All right. So you may like to ask your teachers, how many grades should I do to start a university? It seems different countries require different grades. I think in Myanmar they require 10 grades, right? In the Czech Republic, they require 12 grades. In the US, how many grades do they require in the US? Aumau, can you tell us how many years do you have to study at a school before you can start your first year in college?
I think you study like 12 years.
12 years?
And maybe, yeah, I think so.
So after 12 years at school, if you pass everything right, then you can start your college?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Nice. So we were meditating 10 minutes. Next time, hopefully, Paris and Florence can come on time, so you can catch with us and meditate together with us. Now, what's coming is reciting 3 refuges and 5 precepts. So at this moment, we have developed very far, and the students here already know very well the Sri Lankan pronunciation of 3 refuges and 5 precepts, and now I'm gradually teaching them the Burmese pronunciation of 3 refuges and 5 precepts. So I think today, because we have new students, let's look at the Sri Lankan pronunciation again. And next week, let's see the Burmese pronunciation. Did we already recite fully all 3 refuges and 5 precepts in Burmese before? Aumau, do you remember anything like that?
I don't think I remember, but I think we maybe did that.
I think you recited only the first part, right? Only the first 2 cells. But you didn't recite it all. I think you would remember that well. Okay, so let's look at the Sri Lankan pronunciation today, and we will look at Burmese pronunciation next week. So I will be sharing with you my screen. So when you are taking 3 refuges and 5 precepts, it's a serious thing. This is a serious thing. When you can take 3 refuges and 5 precepts, we believe that this is a very meritorious deed for you. It's a very successful thing, and it can change your destination when you die, even if you're supposed to be born in hell or as an animal. Taking 3 refuges and 5 precepts right before your death can make a huge change. It can actually move you from hell or animal realm right to the heaven. So then you're not born in hell or as an animal, but you're born in heaven. Just and only because you recited 3 refuges and 5 precepts sincerely with full understanding. The understanding must be there, and the sincerity as well. So now the new students here probably do not have much understanding. Depends on whether you've recited this before, and definitely there is not much knowledge about the Pali language. Now, at least to add some sincerity in that, we have a sign, we have a symbol. And that sign is keeping your hands together at the chest. So when you're taking the 3 refuges and 5 precepts, I require that you keep your hands together at the chest so that I see that you're serious about taking the refuges and the precepts. Now, if you were just memorizing them, if you were just learning them or listening to see what's that about, well, then you do not need to keep your hands at the chest. So this is what helps me to recognize who is taking it, who is just memorizing it. So now I would like to suggest to you all that you take 3 refuges and 5 precepts. It is particularly advised, particularly appreciated when you can take 3 refuges, 5 precepts from a Buddhist monk. Ideally from a Buddhist monk who understands them and a Buddhist monk who follows all of the rules of discipline, of monastic discipline. And surprise, I'm such a monk. So I am a Buddhist monk. I follow all of the precepts and I understand the 3 refuges and 5 precepts very, very well. So you can make use of this opportunity and you can take the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts from me. So I would like to ask everyone here to unmute yourself and to keep your hands together at the chest, and then I will tell you what to do next. So first I will say Yamahang vadami tang vadetha. Now here you see vadehi. Vadehi is if you are one person. Now you are more people, so we don't use vadehi, we use vadetha to be grammatically correct. And it means whatever I say, you say. In short, repeat after me. And then you can reply ama bhante. Be careful about this a and ma, because then in the next sentence there's something similar, but it's actually totally different. So here is ama bhante, which means yes. Ama is yes. Bhante means venerable sir. It literally means the good one, the kind, the immensely kind one. But we translate it as venerable sir. So let's do that together. Yamahang vadami tang vadetha. So let's try that again very well. Yamahang vadami tang vadetha. Nice, thank you. So now what comes is your request. You need to request me for the 3 refuges and 5 precepts so that nobody can blame me that I'm forcing that on you. So you're requesting it from me, ideally voluntarily, and then because you request it from me, I, out of compassion, give you the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. But sometimes it's difficult for people to find out how to request it properly. So the monks traditionally help the people in requesting it. So that's why you are repeating this portion after me. So the first 2 words are ahang bhante. Notice the H in the word. Ama and ahang are different. Ama means yes. Ahang means I. You see, it's very different. So you can repeat after me. Remember to keep your hands together at the chest if you mean this seriously. Aham bhante tisaranena saha panchasilang dhammang yajami. Anugahang katva silang detha me bhante anukampang upadaya. Okay, so here what this means, I, venerable sir, ask you, I request you for the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. Give me the ethics by me repeating after you out of compassion. So out of compassion, give me the ethics, give me these rules and the refuges by me repeating after you. Here the words anukampang upadaya are common in Sri Lanka. They're not common in Myanmar, but I like them so much, so I use them even when I teach this to the Burmese people. So now what you've recited will be repeated again and again. But to distinguish this again and again, we number those requests. So when you request me the second time, you say for the second time. Dutiyampi. And this third time, you number that. Tatiyampi for the third time. So let's look at the second time. You can repeat after me. Dutiyampi. Aham bhante. Tisaranena saha. Panchasilang Dhammang yajami Anuggahang katva Silang detha Me bhante Anukampang upadaya. So now that was the second time. Now let's look at the third time. Tatiyampi. Aham bhante. Tisaranena saha. Panchasilang Dhammang yajami Anuggahang katva Silang detha me bhante Anukampang upadaya. So that was the request, and now we will move on to first paying respect to the Buddha. So paying respect to the Buddha is a very complicated and very interesting issue. We will take it very simply today. We have here one sentence, and that one sentence is rich in so many meanings. Namo means worship as a noun in nominative case. This is a worship. This is my worship. This is the way how I worship. So we say Namo. There is a worship from my side. Tassa means to him. Be careful about the word. It needs to be short. Ta-sa. Tassa. We get stuck a little on a double consonant. That's why it's not tassa, but it's tassa. Then Bhagavato. So now are coming three qualities of the Buddha. First one, Bhagavato, means powerful. Arahato means worthy of donations. Samma Sambuddhassa means the one who is rightly and fully awakened. How did he awaken? He awakened by understanding the Four Noble Truths. He awakened from the sleep of ignorance, of not understanding the Four Noble Truths. Our course will gradually teach you what are the Four Noble Truths, but you will learn here a lot of other things as well. So that's what we are saying. This is my worship to him, the powerful one, the one worthy of donations, the one rightly and fully awakened to the truth of the Four Noble Truths. So let's recite that together. Again, I will recite part by part and you can repeat after me. Namo tassa Bhagavato arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa Bhagavato arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So now comes the three refuges. So the three refuges are the Buddha, then the Buddha's teachings, Dhamma, and finally the community of monks, Sangha. So what is this thing going for refuges? Refuge is a place where you have peace. The word sarana in Pali for refuge also means house, it means home. Today, usually many people don't find home as a peaceful place. But you need to look back in the history, because even the word sarana is probably not used for home today anymore. So we really need to look at the historical meaning. In the history, home was the place where you find peace. You find peace there from rain, from wild animals, from how would you call them? You would probably call them I don't know, how would you call them? From robbers who can stop you on the way and rob you of everything you have. So the house provides you with a kind of protection from outside, from wild animals, from robbers, from rain, from strong sun, and so on. So home is a place where you're supposed to get safety, peace, happiness. And this word sarana is later used as a place that you seek, that you want to find, not only to achieve peace from the suffering you have in your life, but also to achieve peace from death. Death is always coming when there is birth. Whenever there's birth, there's death. Even gods die. They're born and they die. Whatever is born, that must die. That's the basic Buddha's teachings. And sarana is the refuge. That's the place where you have peace. Even from that. You have peace from death in sarana, in your refuge. And that's the spiritual refuge. The spiritual refuge is provided and therefore exemplified and represented by the Buddha, the Buddha's teachings, Dhamma, and the community of monks, Sangha. So you are seeking refuge, you're seeking safety from birth, old age, sickness, and death. Not getting what you want, being bound to what you don't want, not having your wishes fulfilled, and the so-called five aggregates, which is in short the body and the mind. So this is what you are asking me for. You're requesting me to give you three refuges. Why should I give them to you? Well, I'm encouraging you. That's how I'm giving them to you. I'm encouraging you to remember them. If you remember that the Buddha, the Buddha's teachings, Dhamma, the community of monks, Sangha, that they are the source of your peace, then when you have conflicts in your life, you are seeking resolution through these three representatives of peace. And thereby, you can achieve success. You can resolve your problems easily. You prevent any additional evil that you could add up to the troubles, and you are somewhat in peace. You're somewhat assured. You're how to say that? You have this kind of like security that if you follow these three refuges, even if there is a catastrophe in your life, still you can get over it. much more peacefully than if you did not have this support. And it's not just support of faith, it's support of practice. As you follow this course, you gradually learn how to practice so that you can make practical use of your 3 refuges. So you're taking the 3 refuges to remind yourself that these are the ultimate pointers to the ultimate peace, regardless the suffering and difficulties you experience in your life. Okay, so we take them all. I'm also taking my 3 refuges, and as we're keeping our hands at the chest, we can recite, so you can repeat after me. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. So the literal meaning, I go to the Buddha for refuge. I go to the Dhamma, the Buddha's teachings, for refuge. I go to the Sangha, the community of monks, for refuge. Now we will do the same thing for the 2nd time, and then again for the 3rd time. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. So now you have taken the refuges very well, and I will therefore acknowledge that. I will show you that indeed this was right and this was complete. And after I after I acknowledge to you that indeed your going for refuges is complete, which is the meaning of the words sarana gamanang paripunnang, then you can be happy about that and you can agree with that, saying, Ama, yes, Bhante, Venerable Sir. So let's try that together. Sarana gamanang paripunnang. Okay, so now let's look at the 5 precepts. So the first precept is, I follow the precept of refraining from killing living beings. That means you never ever kill any living being. If it is inadvertently, unconsciously, unknowingly, unintentionally, then that doesn't count at all. Counts when you know there is a living being, I want to kill it, then you make an effort to kill it and it really dies. So then the precept is broken. If you go over the road on a path and then you find out that you unintentionally stepped on a bug, or if you see that there are some ants in the soap foam or whatever you call it, when you're washing some dishes and the ant is dead already, well, then that doesn't count at all. Totally it doesn't count. We totally don't care. But of course, if you can prevent it for the next time, that's great. Be a little bit more careful, not to step on bugs, not to wash dishes when there are ants. First remove the ants, then wash the dishes, and so on. Okay, so you can repeat after me. I'm not taking 5 precepts because I follow over 91 billion rules, but I'm giving you the 5 precepts so that you follow at least the 5 precepts. So you can repeat after me. Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. The second rule means I follow the rule of refraining from taking what is not given. It means we never steal. You can borrow, you can borrow if you ask the other person for permission in advance, but we never steal. And if you happen to find out that you took something what another person takes as theirs, well, then you need to return it to them. Adinadana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. The third precept means I follow the rule of refraining from sexual misconduct. It means when you have a wife or a husband, you never cheat on them. So I like to simplify it, but that's just, I'm so proud of this, my simplification. When you are married, you're not allowed to fall in love with anyone else. Okay? So that's a very strict rule, but it's mostly, the rule that you are taking is actually related to sexual intercourse itself. But falling in love with anyone else than the one who's your husband or your wife is of course a dangerous start, a dangerous condition for breaking this precept. So it's good to always remember, why did you marry this person? Why are you with this person? What do you want to do with this person? So it's good to know that, so that you are always reminded about the object of your pleasures that you have decided in the past, and not trying to find another one. So you can repeat after me. Kamesu Michhachara Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. Now the fourth precept means I follow the rule of refraining from how to say that? Of refraining from saying what is not true. Musavada is actually false speech. So I follow the rule of refraining from false speech. This is a very important rule. It's extremely important, and it's the basis for all of the 5 precepts. If someone breaks this rule, we believe that he will break all of the remaining 4 as well. And it's the same thing with the 5th one. It's also like that. If you drink alcohol, we believe that you are then prone to break all of the remaining 4. So absolutely never telling lies is okay. What about white lies and small lies? Well, always remember about yourself. What if it is the other way? Would you be happy if other people tell you white lies, but you would believe that those are true? Probably not. So you don't do to other people that what you don't wish they would do to you. Therefore, we never tell white lies as well. And if it is a serious issue, well, then we just don't answer anything. We're just keeping silent. But ideally, stay with people who will appreciate that you're telling truth. And do not stay with people who will harm you if you tell truth. People should praise you and cherish you and love you for telling truth and not harm you. So you need to be careful about who are your friends or who are your colleagues. Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. Now the 5th precept is related to alcohol and drugs. So it means I follow the rule of refraining from drinking alcohol and taking drugs. Not even a drop of alcohol is allowed. It's extremely important to follow this rule. As soon as you take a drop of alcohol, then there is nothing to stop you from taking a second drop, and the third drop, and the fourth drop, and then it becomes a cup, and then it becomes a bottle. So we never drink even a drop of alcohol. We never use any drugs, we never smoke any marijuana or things. Why? Because we want to know what's truth. We don't want to delude ourselves. Who wants to be deluded? Those who want to be deluded, we call them fools. I'm not a fool. I don't want to be deluded, and I will not do things that will delude myself. And I will not support others in deluding themselves, because I want them to see truth, right? Isn't that loving kindness when I wish that other people see things the way they are, that they are not deluded? So we want the truth. We want to know how things are. If you know how things are, you can then find solutions that help. If you don't know how things are, you can never find solutions that help, right? You'll find solutions that don't help. So you harm yourself even more. Doesn't make ever sense to drink alcohol or to take drugs if I'm not a fool. A wise person always keeps far, far away from all alcohol and drugs. Why? Because a wise person wants to know the truth and not a lie. Wise person doesn't want to be deluded. So always be careful, and whenever other people want to delude themselves, you can tell them, well, I believe. You always tell about yourself. You cannot change others, you can change yourself. You say, I believe that if I drink alcohol or I take drugs, even marijuana, then I will not see the truth as it is. Therefore, I do not take them even a little bit. Okay, so you can repeat after me. Sura meraya majja pamadatthana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami. So now you have taken the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts, and I will encourage you to protect and follow the 3 refuges and 5 precepts very well, and strive, make effort mindfully. And what's this thing, mindful? As you are mindful, you know what's going on in your mind. And this mindfulness is extremely helpful, because if you know what's going on in your mind, you can notice intention to break one of the 5 rules. And when you notice intention to break one of the 5 rules, then that's great, because you noticed it. When you notice, you know, oh, I want to break 5 rules. Oh, that's not okay for me, and therefore you never break it. Being mindful is the ultimate solution for always following the 5 rules. Is the mindfulness that's the key. So that's why I will encourage you to follow, protect the 3 refuges and 5 precepts, and make effort mindfully. And if you agree with that, you can then reply to me, Ama, yes, Bhanti, Venerable Sir. So let's try that together. Tisaranena saddhing panchasilang dhammang sadhukang surakhitang katva appamadena sampadetham. So now I will wish you to be happy, to be healthy, to attain Nibbana, which you will probably understand better in other classes coming soon in the future. So then if you agree with that, then another way of saying agree, that you agree, apart from Ama Bhante, is saying sadhu. Sadhu is not like that, okay. Ama Bhante is more like, okay, all right. But sadhu is more positive. Sadhu is more like happy. It's more like appreciative, to the appreciative side. Ama Bhante is a very respectful agreement. Yes, Venerable Sir. Sadhu is more like, well said. Oh, that's so good. Oh, I'm happy that you're saying this. So that's the meaning of the word sadhu. In Burmese, you pronounce it Thadhu. But we will talk about Burmese pronunciation next time. So after I wish you, may you be happy, healthy, may you achieve Nibbana, you can then reply sadhu, sadhu, sadhu if you are happy about that wish. So let's try that together. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you soon attain the eternal bliss of Nibbana. Nice, thank you very much. So that was for our 3 refuges and 5 precepts. I see we have got Caitlin. Caitlin, we have 2 new students. What about, I didn't ask the others to introduce themselves to our 2 new students, so that was very unfair, right? So we can now correct that. I will ask Florence and Paris to repeat to us where do they live, how old are they, and what grade at school are they studying, and what else? That should be enough, right? And then I will ask everyone else to do the same. So let's start with Paris this time.
My name is Paris. I'm 14 years old. I'm in secondary 2.
Where do you live, Paris?
I live in Singapore.
You live in Singapore. Thank you. Florence? Can you please talk louder? We cannot hear you well.
My name is Florence. I'm turning 13. I live in Singapore. I'm in secondary 1.
Thank you very much. Yes, Paris and Florence are connecting with us from Singapore. And now I would like to ask Leng Han to introduce himself to us. If you can tell us where do you live, how old are you, what do you study, if you study primary, secondary school, what is the grade, or if you study university, tell us what's the major or what's the subject.
I live in the United States. I go to high school and I'm in the 10th grade.
Excuse me, how old are you?
I'm 15, about to going to turn 16 next year.
Okay, thank you, very nice. And where exactly do you live in the United States? There are 52 states, right? So you can tell us which one?
Kentucky.
In Kentucky, thank you. Leng Hom?
I live in Kentucky, USA, and I am in 9th grade in high school.
How old are you?
I'm 14.
You're 14, thank you. Amau?
I'm Armand. I live in California in the United States. I go to middle school and I'm in 7th grade. And I'm 11.
Yes, thank you very much.
I'm 12 years old.
Excuse me?
I'm 12 years old.
You're 12 years old. Thank you. Caitlin?
I live in California. I'm a 9th grader and I'm 14.
Nice, thank you very much. And finally, Marinda?
I live in California. I'm 13 and I'm in 8th grade.
Excuse me, which grade?
I'm in 8th grade.
8th grade, yes. Thank you very much. So I'm Ashin Sarana. I study clinical mental health counseling, master's degree program. I'm a meditation teacher. I'm 35 years old. I'm happy to meet you here, everyone, today. We are going to finish at this moment because our class is finished, but I would like to give you a little homework for next time. This homework is not really related to Buddhism, but it is related to Myanmar. I've given this homework to the other class, the class of the New Yorkers, and it was successful there. So I believe it will be successful with you as well. So it is a book. It is a book about the Spring Revolution. Does anyone know anything about Spring Revolution? Any idea when Spring Revolution happened?
I only know about the Spring Revolution, but I heard it before.
You've heard of it sometime, but no idea what's that. And what about Caitlin? Any idea what's a spring revolution, and when did it happen?
No, I don't know.
No idea. Marinda?
I don't know.
No idea. Okay. So spring revolution is happening right now. Spring revolution is happening now. We don't have any spring now, but we have spring revolution happening right now. And it happens in Myanmar, and it happens all around the world. It started on the 1st February 2021 when the military of Myanmar took over the government, and they forcefully removed the officially elected government and made themselves the government. And the Burmese people do not agree with that. And because they did not agree with that, they went into the streets and they disagreed. You are not our government. We elected some other government, so give it back to us. But the military didn't agree, and they went into the streets and they started to shoot into the people. They started to kill the people on the streets randomly. They went into the houses of the people. They killed the people in their houses. They killed their children. They killed the mothers, the fathers. They killed doctors, engineers. And they did not just killed. They are killing until today. About 300 children died as the military is killing people randomly here and there. They fly their jets and they drop bombs on villages of just random people. They go to villages, they just kill random people. They imprison kids. They take 5-year-old kids, they put them to prison. They imprison doctors, they imprison engineers, they imprison important people who help the financial, growth in Myanmar and so on. They have prohibited basically all of the free press in Myanmar. They have cut off internet for about a month just for fun. So no internet at all. They had access to internet at all. They have, of course, increased a lot of prices and so on. The people did not agree with this, and so in Myanmar there are two things that are happening because of this new life, and they are CDM and PDF. All of you need to know these things. CDM, PDF, NUG, these are 3 acronyms that all of you need to know. So I wish that all of you take your notebooks and you write down these 3 acronyms. You need to write them right now. This is just so extremely important start. And then based on that, you will be reading the book. You'll be reading just one little chapter in the book. But I would like to ask you, everyone, to take your notebook so that you can write down 3 short notes. So these are basically just the acronyms and their meanings, and you do not have to write down the story about that. That's what I will tell you, but you definitely need to know these 3, because Burmese people usually do not explain what the acronyms are. They will just say PDF, they will just say CDM, and you're expected to know exactly what it is. So you have it in the chat box. Hopefully you've seen it already. Okay, everyone finished? So first, when the army took over Myanmar, then the real government, it already had a backup in the U.S. So that backup started to take over of Myanmar. So even though you have in Myanmar a government, that government is actually a sham government. It's a fraud. And that government doesn't actually govern the country. That's the fun. They want to govern the country, but the people do not allow them to be governed. So the people in Myanmar are not governed by the government in Myanmar, but they are governed by a government, by the representative government in the US. So the representative government in the US decides, okay, you know what, guys? Now tomorrow nobody in Myanmar will go out in the streets. Everybody will be in home. And then the next day, no one in Myanmar goes out in the street. So the government in the US, not the US government, is the Burmese government. The Burmese government, which is now safely in the US. But of course, the Burmese government officials, they're in prison. But they have their representatives, and those representatives are in the US. So the representative government, also known as CRPH, but that's unnecessary at this moment. So the representative government has took over Myanmar. So they are totally governing Myanmar, and people are very happy being governed by the representative Myanmar government, which now resides in the US. And so the government has created, they have helped to create a really, organized government body so that it has its ministries and it can fulfill its government responsibilities well. And so that is called NUG. National Unity Government. So the real government of Myanmar is the National Unity Government, and it now resides in the US. So you need to understand that they are those who decide the laws. They decide what's legal or what's not legal. Not the government in Myanmar, not the military, because military doesn't have anything legal. There is nothing legal about the military. They are not even government. No country in the world accepts them as a government. So that's the thing. So National Unity Government is now the present government of Myanmar, but it's not in Myanmar. Second, civil disobedience movement. As the soldiers started to shoot people randomly and go in the houses and kill kids and kill doctors and bomb villages and that thing. So then two things sprang up, and that civil disobedience movement, that means that teachers don't go to school, engineers don't go to their factories, these clerks don't go to their offices, people just don't do work. Trains don't work, buses don't work, and so on. Of course, they work up to some extent, but really minor, really minimal. So CDM, civil disobedience movement, is when the country shuts down because the people don't go to job. They don't agree with the government, so they don't do any work. That's where everything in Myanmar is just getting poorer and poorer and poorer because people don't go to work, because they don't agree with the government. What does the government do with that? They don't care. They're happy. So that's the situation now. The government doesn't care. The people don't do work. So that's civil disobedience movement. People are still resistant, and many students don't go to school. Many students didn't go to school because of the COVID for 2 years, and now for over a year, 1.5 years, they didn't go to school because of the coup. We call it coup because of the change in the government situation. So then that CDM, civil disobedience movement, is made up by the people, held by the people, followed by the people. It's extremely important. PDF, People's Defense Force. Some boys, some young men and some young women thought this is not enough. Just not going to job will not stop this army from killing us. And so these young men, young women, they grouped together and they went into the forest and they started to make their own weapons, and they started to attack the army. So the national unity government then had to find these self-created, naturally appeared groups and put them together, make a system so that the NUG has a full-fledged army. So there are now two armies in Myanmar. The NUG army, we call them PDF, and then the original army. Now, NUG is governing 50% of Myanmar. And that all is possible thanks to the PDF force, the People's Defense Force. The People's Defense Force, they're no babies. They don't play. They have already massacred about 20,000 soldiers of the original military. It's not like, oh, we try something, we cannot do anything. No, they're very powerful. So no fun. There's a lot of killing happening on both sides. So this is the situation now. And now I want to share with you a book which is about the Spring Revolution, which tells you more about how did this start in February last year, and what was the reason? How did the people experience this coup, this change in the governing system in Myanmar, and what kind of suffering they had to go through, and they still have to go through that suffering. So that's a book. It's called, what's that called? I need to find it. Spring Diary, is that right? Myanmar Spring Diary. It's free to distribute, so I'm sending it to you here in the chat box. So I will ask you, so please check your chat box and open it, and I will ask you one by one if you were successful opening it. So as soon as you can open it, please raise your hand, either your fleshly hand or your Zoom hand. Yes, Amal could open it. Anyone else? Caitlin? Yes, Florence could open it. So we are waiting for Lenghom, Lenghan, and Marinda. And Paris, right? Lenghom, could you open it? Lenghom, can you please unmute yourself? Tell us whether you could open it.
I opened it.
Are you working on it? Or you opened it? I don't hear you. Can you say, I have opened it? Or I have not opened it? You have opened it. You have opened it. Nice. Thank you. And what about Lenghan? Lenghan, could you access the book? Could you open it and see the book?
It doesn't pop up in chat.
Okay. So then I can send you a link and you can try to download it from the link. So let's try that. So I'm sending you a link in the chat box. See if you can open that link, and then if you go a little down in that website, there will be a red button saying read the full collection. So if you can click on that, then it will automatically download for you the PDF.
I got it open.
You got it open? Nice. Lenghom? Successful. And Caitlin? Successful. And Paris? Yes, successful. Nice. So if you have it open, you may see that there are some chapters like corpses and girl returning from the dark and that kind of thing. So those are poetry. We want to move to the other page where you have short stories. And in the section short stories, you have there stories like Museum of the Steel Souls, the poets have their own banners, Enter the Prison, River of T-shirts, and so on. So there are stories 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 stories. So the homework is that please choose one out of these 10 short stories. Read that one story and write down 2 sentences, either copied from the story, which you found interesting in the story, or about the story. You can write, this story speaks about innocent people going to prison. I felt really shocked about the suffering that they have to endure there. Perfect. Or you just take 2 sentences and you write them down, the sentences that you like, not just random sentences. So is that clear? Anyone has any question about this or anything else? Nobody has any question at this moment? Caitlin, is it fine? Is it clear about that, about the homework? Does anyone have any difficulty to make the homework until our next class next week? Nobody seems to have difficulty. I would like to suggest to you that you read it already today and you write the sentences already today. You do not have to write the sentences by hand. You can write them on computer, but please write them. Do not just mark them. Okay, write them in a in your notebook, either on the computer or in the paper handbook. That doesn't matter, but please write them somewhere outside of the book. You can mark them in the book as well. Okay, so thank you everyone for coming today. It was a pleasure to see you again. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you soon attain the eternal bliss of Nibbana.
Thank you, Venables and everyone. People really agree to start together. Today I'm your microphone and the people. And thank you, Venables. Bye.